Welcome to this beautiful Sunday. So, the sweetgrass. That tends to be the topic for these weeks in January, and it's by no mistake. The book of the month is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. We've been quoting her this whole month and even months past. So, for this topic, cause and effect in the sweetgrass, it's particularly important to understand how we do share a common ground together, you and I, and all of the living, all of life. Let's just put that. Because when we say we want a world that works for everyone, sometimes we think it's only the humans. But how about all life? A world that works for all life, which is about co-creation. And so if you think about the creative process, we know that the teaching is if you take a seed and you place it in the soil and then you leave it alone or give it the right circumstances, give it the right conditions, it will thrive. Much like Tamara's beautiful grounding meditations, if we start from a sense of calm where our nervous system is regulated using those two practices, which were fantastic, then we could be creating from a sense of calm, and whatever springs forth from us will be from that same ilk of the seeds that we placed in that calmness. So this part of cause and effect, this one little excerpt, I will read it for you word for word, but I love it because it not only has in it an excerpt from Robin Wall Kimmerer's book, and she's part of the Potawatomi tribe, which has a lot of ancient teachings. And so not only does it have the ancient wisdom of the tribe, it also involves interacting with said sweetgrass. And then it also has a little bit of science baked in because Robin Wall Kimmerer is actually a botanist. She's a botany professor. So not only does she have the ancient wisdom, she has the scientific chops to follow up with peer-reviewed studies. And we all know how that is very important in this day and age. So I'll read you the story about the teachings of grass. Lena, the gray-haired elder, led Robin through the meadow in a search for sweetgrass. "It's our way," she said, "to take only what we need. I've always been told you never take more than half." After scattering a bit of tobacco to the ground with her thanks, "You know this," she says, "to always leave a gift for the plants, to ask if we might take them. It would be rude not to ask first." Only then did she stoop and pinch off a grass stem at its base, careful not to disturb the roots. The most important thing was to remember what Lena's grandmother had always told her. If we use a plant respectfully, it will stay with us and flourish. If we ignore it, it will go away. If you don't give it respect, it will leave us. Lena said all that, and then she said, "This place always gives good sweetgrass since we tend to it right. But in other places, it's getting hard to find. I'm thinking they might not be picking it right. Some people, they're in a hurry, and they pull up the whole plant. Even the roots come up. That's not the way that I was taught." Now, Robin had been with pickers who did that, yanking up a handful that left a little bare spot in the earth. They too made offerings of tobacco and took only half, sure that their method of picking was the right one. They were defensive about the charges that their harvesting was what was depleting the sweetgrass. Now I'm going to pause, and I just want you to paint this picture because you've got the traditional way of pinching it right at the base, but not pulling up the root to gather your sweetgrass, and another approach. Well, my family, we always did it like this, yank it right out of the ground. Both scenarios left a little bit of tobacco. Who's right, who's wrong? Well, Robin, being the professor of botany that she is, she said, I now am scientifically curious about which method was best. So let's get back to the story. She wanted to know which method was best for the sweetgrass population, a true joining of her Potawatomi upbringing and her academic career. She suggested this idea to her student, Lori, for Lori's thesis. The dean was skeptical that this would even be a project of merit, Anyone knows that harvesting a plant will harm the population. Like, duh, says the professor. You're wasting your time, and I'm afraid I don't find this whole traditional knowledge thing very convincing. Now, this is great. Back to me. Listen, we're setting up the whole story. Now we have a conflict. You know, the pros and this group versus that group. Who does it right? Someone says, I'll study it, and then you've got your, why study something that's completely obvious? So what happens? You know what probably happens. Let's get into it. What does Lori do? Lori says, well, I shall continue and do my experiment. Lori identified and marked off 3 strong patches of sweetgrass. She carefully counted every stem. 1 patch would be harvested by pinching, 1 by pulling, and 1, the control, would be left completely alone. For 2 years, the patches were observed. They were harvested at the appropriate times, never more than half. At the end of the experiment, Lori counted one last time every single stem. I don't know about you, but I'm sitting on pins and needles, and I've got the story right here. Her statistical analyses were all sound and thorough, but she didn't even need any graphs to tell the story. From across the field, you could see the difference. Some plots gleamed shiny golden green, and some were dull and brown. The surprise was that the failing plots were not the harvested ones, as predicted, but the unharvested controls were the ones that were failing. The sweetgrass that had not been picked or disturbed in any way was choked with dead stems, while the harvested plots were thriving. Whether the sweetgrass had been pinched singly or pulled in a clump, the end result was nearly exactly the same. It didn't seem to matter how the sweetgrass was harvested, only that it was harvested. Lori's findings might have been surprising to academic theologists, but they were consistent with the theory voiced by the ancestors. In other words, the ancestors knew all along. If we use a plant respectfully, it will stay and flourish. If we ignore it, it will go away. And at this point, if there is a mic to drop the mic. What? So what do we take away from this? This is cause and effect and the sweetgrass. Listen, if we take our attention away from that which we want to keep around, then the fact that you withdrew your attention from it means that you no longer have it. What you put your attention on will grow, will stay around. What you tend to will keep around. What you ignore will go away. Now use this to your benefit. Okay? I always say this, I cannot help myself. Cause and effect, our attention, our tending to something. The first lesson, never take more than your share. Don't be greedy. Leave something behind. Make sure it's some sort of contribution. You're giving as well as receiving, because that's the law of the universe. Giving and receiving is circulation. Tamara taught us last week, or I think it was Melinda, it came up that we can't just breathe in and keep breathing in. You got to breathe out. And so we do give as we receive. And the other thing is that if we do want to keep something, then we must pay attention to it. And we must honor it and respect it. But if you don't want something to hang around you, don't pay it any attention. Don't give it your attention. And there's a difference between ignoring and what's the word of abdicating your responsibility and being neglectful. There's a difference between ignoring something, not letting it have your full attention. If you don't want that thing, then don't analyze it to the nth degree. Don't analyze it as if you really want it. Don't become so familiar with all of the shortcomings of something, because that's what's keeping it around. Cause and effect, turns out, it's up to us. Now, let me take us back to our principles, because at the beginning I said something about co-creation, and now we're back. Co-creation is where you individually have a say on your life experience. And even though it appears as if someone else put something in your path, if you trace it back, it could be, and it definitely is, but I'm trying to be nice, that we've invited that thing. And if we did not want that thing, we've paid attention to it, and that's what caused it to stick around. But there's not any, like what I was saying about that doesn't mean you can just neglect something, because I might have, let's be very basic here, I might have a bill that showed up at the door, right? It showed up, looks like I have to pay it. If I have a bill that I have to pay and I ignore it because I don't want to give it any attention, then that could escalate quickly, right? You don't want to neglect your responsibilities just because you don't like them. That's not what we're talking about. I'm speaking in a realm that is more, it's not that tangible. It is the world of possibilities where you have the ability to ideate what it is you want to be, what it is you want to feel, how you want to show up in the world. And then there is a little moment of quantum movement where there's a million possibilities, but then your mind settles on something. And when your mind takes a wave of possibilities and then focuses on one of them, one of the possibilities, it's called collapsing that wave. It's a quantum thing. It doesn't matter. You collapse that wave and it becomes a thing. That thing in your mind has potential to create in your life. We call it a seed. It's the potential of an oak tree. I know it looks like an acorn. I get it. But that acorn has within it the potentiality to become an oak tree. All you got to do is plant it in the soil and do the things that have to happen to the acorn so that it becomes the oak tree. But that's not our business. Our business is to conceive that which we do want. If you have to close your eyes and not look at what you currently have because it's getting in the way of who you know you are and who you know you can be, sometimes you do have to close your eyes and stop looking at what is, because those things that are in front of you are the result of past thinking. Sometimes you do have to shut your eyes, shut it out, so that you can only see in the darkness where plants grow, in the womb where babies grow, in the dark, dark, dark of all the darkness. Close your eyes. Start to feel. What is it I want to feel like? Get into it. Vibrate with that energy of how you want to feel. And know that it is not dependent upon anything that you can see with your eyeballs. How you want to feel, what you want to be, has nothing to do with everything that is. Because in this moment, you get to be new again. You get to renew again. And I know we love to wait till January 1st to claim new year, new me. Every moment we can claim it. It's just up to us to co-create with the divine. What is it I'm here to do? And when we get into that central, that relaxed state, our nervous system is not on alert and we're feeling relaxed, we can take a moment, breathe in a box way, yes, and create a space to conceive what else is also true about me, beyond what I can see. What is the highest truth about me? And how can I be more aligned with that truth than what is apparent in front of my eyeballs? Because we know that you change the way you see your life, and your whole life will change. It doesn't even need time. It changes like in the moment. So I do wonder, why don't we do that more? Why don't we do it more? Well, it's because we are a lot of times the academic sitting on our little throne saying, well, everybody can see, that it's the harvesting that's the problem. Is it though? Let's challenge all of the assumptions that were just placed in our lap. Let's ask questions that no one else will dare ask because they're afraid to appear stupid. Let's ask the questions that come up in our minds and question with curiosity instead of, what's the word, skepticism. There's a I call it skepticism. Like, be skeptically optimistic. Blend those two. Be optimistic. I make up stuff. It's fine. Skeptically optimistic. Like, the moment I'm telling you that you can close your eyes and see yourself feeling different about your life. See yourself in situations that you were told, oh, well, obviously you can't do that. Well, how dare you dream like that? All that stuff. Be skeptical about, well, wait a minute. What if that's not true? What if none of that is true? What if you're lying? Or what if you don't even know you're lying because you're just repeating what you heard? Optimism added to that. What if I can do it? And what is there to look like? Come on. What are we losing exactly? If I'm going to try something new and step out on the ledge and try it and I fail, oh well, guess I learned another way that doesn't work. Who says I have to be embarrassed? Who says I have to go hide? Why would I hang my whole future on the opinions of people who, A, I don't know, and B, if I do know them, typically I probably don't even like them that much. These are the people that are out in like the third ring of your community, where the people that are closest to you in the inner circle, they're the ones that know all the things, and they've seen you at your worst, and oh my God, they still love you. What's that about? And then there's the people who are, yeah, you know their first and last names, and you see them sometimes, and they're cool. Sometimes we're doing things to impress that third tier, which you don't even know their name, but you hope you don't look like a fool in front of them. Why are we limiting our lives so these people who don't know us, and we don't even like them if we did, so that they'll be impressed? Like, what are we doing? So if we release all of that and then get back to how we really feel, who we really want to be, what if it is true that you create your exact experience right now? You do it. Nobody did it to you. And if they did it to you, are they still there? Are they still here? You had a bully in 3rd grade. Is she still in the room? No? But you still feel real self-conscious about the body part that she shamed you for. Is she still here? Because she's living rent-free in your head. Right up in your head. Well, I don't know why. Who is that? And show her the door. We only keep around us those people, those connections that we want to be like them. We want to hold near to us those that inspire. And if we have something that we aspire to, they'll cheer us on and root for us. That's who we want in our inner circle. And so I'm saying, first of all, don't share your big dreams with anybody that's not in that inner circle. And then when you do so sparingly, because even if they're rooting for you, something weird happens when you have big goals and you speak about them too early. Because I feel like what you lose is the kinetic energy that builds up because you're doing something and it's exciting and only you know about it. Somehow when you start talking about it, you get congratulated early on having an idea, and then it kind of, well, you already got the congratulations. There's something weird about having an inner goal and then talking about it and then getting congratulated for it early that makes it, I don't know. You didn't even start doing it yet. You just talked about it and somehow the wind got blown out of the sails because there's a weird balance. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. So, sure, be the creator in your life. Be the co-creator in your life. Don't just be the one who has been created by the experiences that have created you, and therefore I'm going to keep a story with me so that if anybody notices I'm being less than who I came here to be, I can pull out the story of what happened in 3rd grade when that girl called me a name. I could pull out that story of, well, my mother, or, well, my dad never. We have some of these, in a Rolodex. Okay, kids, a Rolodex is a little, it's a thing you used to have on your desk with index cards. All right, index cards. Anyway, don't keep stories on hand to give people reasons why you're not being your best. And even if you've graduated from telling other people, don't keep those stories for yourself. Do not. I just want you to look at who you can be And you know what it is. You know, the things that, that feeling, that little tingle that you get when you see somebody doing that, what you want to do. So you know it. There's a thing. And you see yourself doing that, but you secretly know you'll probably do it better. That thing, don't let anyone talk you out of it, and quietly pursue it. Quietly, because you want to just get enough momentum, get enough reps in to feel good about where you're going, and then slowly open it up to other people. Sure. Because here's what Ernest Holmes says about this. Infinite and immutable is the law. And that means cause and effect, period, is infinite. It's immutable. It don't change. And it's ever present. It's available now because it's infinite, it's immutable, and it's ever present, which means it's right here, right now. It has to be the law of cause and effect, everywhere present. It does not accept anyone just because, oh, it's Charlene, I'm going to suspend the law of cause and effect for her in this moment. No, 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 no. It's all right here, right now. And he says, since it's everywhere present and it's infinite, it's immutable, and the potential possibility of all human probability is in this law. I'll say it again. The potential possibility of all human probability is in the law, and it must flow through us in order to manifest for us. Anything you could ever be, anything that any human could ever have been, anything that any human could have been, even if nobody has achieved it yet, all of that is in the infinite possibilities. And the probability is, what's the likelihood that you'll do it? That's also there, altogether in the law, and it's moving through everybody, which means, to me, if you can think it, you can be it, to the degree that you believe. And then this is not news. We see it all the time on the motivational posters. We see it on the talks from Tony Robbins and all the people that have ever stood on any stage. But when is it going to become, wait, that's true for me? For this me, this actual me? Because somehow we do some calculus where that's true for everybody except you, because if they only knew, because when you were 3 years old, that thing happened, and then of course there was that other thing, and if they really knew the secret about that blah blah blah, and the way that you really think about the blah, that is what we use to negate ourselves being in the if you can dream it, you can do it, which lets us off the hook temporarily, and the ego wins temporarily because it doesn't get embarrassed because you tried something and you failed. It stays on the couch eating the chips. And it says, well, look at that. That runner ended up twisting her ankle. See? I'm on the couch. Ankles are perfect. Good thing I didn't risk my ankles by running. The way that we could talk ourselves into mediocrity and just not moving until it's too late. And I hear stories. I do not want to be this lady in this story that says, oh, if I only knew. I would have tried more. I would have taken more risks. You hear the stories of people on their deathbed that they never wish that they spent more time at the office on the one thing that the TPS reports, the spreadsheets. They don't say that. They say, I wish I would have loved more. I wish I would have taken more risks. I wish I would have. That's what I don't want to be. So I have to remember to live my life. Because we are all in this world of infinite possibilities, and it's moving through us, and it's as us, moving through us, as us. So living your life in the way that gives you joy, that serves other people, do that thing, and do it bigly. Do it bigly. I have to just tell you, the little thing happened the other day. I was working, it was late at night, and I'm obsessed with creating software that makes the world a better place. I heard something fall in the kitchen. I heard something, and I'm like, oh no, what did the cat do? And it was a plaque that jumped off the wall. And the plaque says, I have to say, that I'm like, Larry Branch, did you throw the plaque on the floor? Because Larry used to go here, and he's like my One of our biggest like supporters, and he is on the other side. But it says, I don't want to. It says on the plaque, I don't want to die with a perfectly fit body, with the perfect healthful, something about the external health. It says, no, I want to slide into my grave with wine in one hand and chocolate in the other and say, that was one hell of a ride. That's what it says on the plaque. And I'm just like, okay, Larry. And one would think I should move away from my desk and go out there and have fun. But then I realized, no, this is my fun. You know it if you know me, that the way I can build stuff out of all the tools and make something fantastic for our spiritual growth or for the upliftment, that's my job here. So I was like, yeah, we're good. One hell of a ride, you guys. All right, let's check the chat. Let's just see if there's anyone who would like any prayer requests, because it is that time. I hope that you know, though, when you leave here today and go back to the rest of your day, just say, I am creating a world that works for every living thing. That's what I want you. That's your mantra. Everything you do, power it with, I am creating a world that works for every living thing. And let's go within. There's only one divine energy, one power, one life, one law that's immutable. It is infinite, and it is right here, right now. It is the law of love. It is the law of cause and effect. This is what allows our individual selves to be connected with one another, because we are one. We are all one. Let's say we are all individual rays from that one source of light. And we each have our job to do to shine upon whatever it is that we show up to shine upon. And we bring that light, we bring that energy, we bring that which we want to be into the world. We don't look at what is, because that's just remnants of yesterday's thinking. We look at what will be, because that's fueled by our highest ideas of ourselves and of each other. We know that when we're connected to our higher selves in this way, we can't help but stumble in the right directions, doing all the right things, even though it might look messy. I speak my word for each of us today. We have the confidence and the strength to show up, show out, and look messy if you have to, but be authentic. Being authentically here to serve within a low ego and a high rate of interest and curiosity in humankind and in all life. Doing whatever we're called to do to lift it up, lift it higher, make it stronger, and be that service person. Because life is way too short. Nobody knows how long we have here. And so let's use every moment to make it for the highest and best. I speak my word that we're all drawn to whatever direction we're drawn to, and it's perfect. We do not judge, we just support. And I know that all is unfolding perfectly as the acorn shall do, because it is in the right environment, and it is a oak tree in the making. I release my word because I'm fully grateful. I'm just so excited to see what happens as it all unfolds. Can't wait to see what everybody creates in their lives. So I simply say thank you, life. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, universe, divine being. I rest, I let it be, and so it is. Ashe. Soul Pajamas shall sing us out.
Oh, my. That was deep and clear like water. Deep and clear like water. This song that Dan wrote, the words